When I was on Twitter, I saw a lot of people hating on the idea of a version of Hero Academia where Deku doesn't have a quirk and is instead a hero like Batman or Iron Man. I want to examine why this idea is possible and why it could make sense. I'll start with two Pixar movies that are relevant to my argument from a thematic standpoint. In Ratatouille, the protagonist wants to be a cook, but is disadvantaged by being a rat. The end of the story has him being a cook. The theme is anyone can cook. In Monsters University, the protagonist wants to be a scarer, but is disadvantaged by not looking scary. Despite succeeding in every other category, he's unable to become a scarer because he's simply not scary, but he does eventually find an adjacent job, which is teaching scarers. The story is more cynical / realistic with its theme. Let's compare that to Hero. In episode 2, Deku asks, can someone without a quirk become a hero? All Might basically says no and advises him to become a police officer if he wants to help people. He tells him to be realistic. At the end of the episode, All Might praises Deku and says that even though he's quirkless, he has the main trait of a hero, which is the moment where they acted heroically without thinking. Then he says, you can become a hero. Deku monologues with, dreams can become reality. This feels like Ratatouille. Despite being quirkless, by the end of the introduction, Deku is told that he can become a hero because of the character qualities that he's shown. It feels like the classic trope of the underdog overcoming a challenge despite their handicap, making dreams into a reality. The story went from cynical / brutally realistic to optimistic. But then, Deku inherits All Might's powers. So the message goes from, you can become a hero, to, you can become a hero if you inherit my powers. This would imply that the story is taking a much more cynical approach, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. After all, I love MU. But my problem is that the story constantly feels like it's trying to have it both ways. It feels like it wants Deku to be the underdog who turned his dreams into reality, but it is also cynical enough to not have any quirkless heroes. What do I mean by Deku is being framed as an underdog? I mean that even though Deku is given one of the most powerful quirks in the story by the #1 hero, he is still seen doing underdog-like things and having underdog-like accomplishments. The story comes up with excuses, some valid, some not, to initially put him at the bottom of all heroes. First, he has to train hard and build up muscles before even getting the quirk. This didn't have to be written this way. One for All could have been written as a quirk that just needed the user to ingest DNA. But I will give this a pass because maybe the author was trying to write in drawbacks for such a powerful ability, which I encourage and respect. Next is Deku's inability to use the quirk properly. This could also initially be looked at as another drawback, but later we learned that All Might never had this problem. His body was already somehow ready to use 100% from day one. We also don't know if any other users had this problem, so this seems like a cheap attempt at keeping Deku as an underdog. Because of this, he performs like an underdog. In the entrance exam, he barely makes it in by the skin of his teeth. In the quirk apprehension test, he can't even use his quirk until the last exercise. In the battle trial, he gets his butt whooped. In the sports festival race, he makes it with mostly intelligence, not his quirk. In the tournament stage, they decrease his intelligence to have him fall into Shinso's quirk when Ojiro specifically told him how to avoid it. Then he loses to Todoroki, who has a weaker quirk than his. A lot of underdog stuff dies down after he learns full cowl though. As I said before, my primary issue is that the story tries to have it both ways. In isolation, those underdog moments would be great, and in isolation, acknowledging that you need a quirk to be a hero could make for a great story. But Hero tries to do both when the concepts conflict with each other. Sometimes the excuses are smooth, sometimes they're rocky. In the Shinso fight, Deku acknowledges that he's blessed and doesn't even have a rebuttal for Shinso. Yet this blessed person is constantly framed as an underdog. The story can't seem to decide whether Deku is an underdog or an overdog at the start. It can't decide if the story is cynical or optimistic. What would be the real-world application of the theme from the introduction? At the start, it seemed like it was, sometimes you need to be born with specific traits in order to do specific things, like Monsters University. Then at the end of episode 2, it felt like it was, you can make your dreams into reality if you have the right mindset, like Ratatouille. Then at the start of episode 3, I have no clue what it would be. Is it, you can accomplish your wildest dreams if someone hands you their assets? I don't really know. That's the best guess I can make. This brings me to Quirkless Deku. There are two main things that prove that Deku being quirkless is a possible road. First, technology. Shinso didn't get into the hero course because of his powers, but later in the story he acquires the binding cloth, a piece of technology, and masters it along with improving his quirk with another piece of technology. The binding cloth is a major part of his combat, and it has nothing to do with his quirk. So the people saying that Deku couldn't be like Batman or Iron Man in this universe are wrong. The second is the physical capabilities of certain characters. The first is Rappa. He had superhuman strength that could allow him to break Eijiro's hardening, but strength has nothing to do with his quirk. Strong Arm, his quirk, focuses entirely on speed. His strength is purely natural. The second character is Knuckle Duster from the Vigilante spin-off. He also has super strength and no quirk. With all that given, I know Quirkless Deku is possible. He could just have superhuman physical abilities from training a lot. I personally wouldn't want him to make the tech all on his own, because he'd have to be rich like Batman and Iron Man, and then that wouldn't be underdog-like. So maybe before the entrance exam, he's an engineer and can make rough prototypes, but nothing that functions perfectly. Maybe his mom got him into engineering so that he could help heroes rather than be a hero. He builds some kind of low-quality gadgets to enhance his abilities or function as special attacks, and it gets him through the exam. Then once he enters the school, he can have characters like Mei Hatsume provide him with advanced technology and improve his arsenal. Overall, this would choose the side of optimism and stay in it. The IRL application would also become clear. Deku would obviously still need outside help from engineers to become the #1 hero, but that can be taken as you'll need help, but you can still make your dreams a reality with perseverance and hard work. As you can see, Quirkless Deku is possible. I could go more in depth and tackle each arc like I did with Naruto without Kurama, but I'll probably only do that if the video does well. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry by buying my manga and spreading the word. All important links will be in the description.